birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new
For Murph's Magical Creations. Home to custom laser engraving and gifts. This veteran-owned and operated company engraves for all occasions. If you want one of Murph's Magical Creations, call the number on your screen or commission through either Instagram or via email. Murph's Magical Creations, made with love for you.
Starbase 1552 Comics. We sell everything a collector would want. Comics, Funkos, action figures, and so many more. A real American comic book shop. We are online only. Starbase 1552 Comics. Find us on eBay Auctions.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Goat Locker Racing's Cruising Classics Next Gen Series, round number 4. We're going road course racing in Watkins Glen in upstate New York, as these drivers are going to take on the 2.4, 7 turns or 11 turns, depending on how you look at the bus stop course here. And this track is different from most NASCAR tracks in the fact that these drivers will actually be going clockwise around this speedway, so more right turns than lefts. Something that these drivers are going to have a hard time challenging with this evening. Perfect conditions, as you see, 70 degrees, very moderate humidity, partly cloudy, very little wind. As always, my name's Tyler Dittmer, joining the booth tonight with my producer, Dean Hopton, who's also co-broadcasting with me, as always, here for the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. Dean, we're finally going road course racing. I know you've been waiting on this one for a long time.
You know, I love it when they get to turn left and right. And of course, I've commentated a lot of races around Watkins, Glen, and all different manufacturers and vehicles. So, looking forward to how they're going to throw these machines around here this evening. That's why the grid is probably a little bit shorter, because you're all scared of road courses. Well, they are as well too in the NASCAR series that you're going to see on Netflix. But I can't blame them. But today is an advantage for the drivers that do want to gamble, of course, this tricky circuit. Upstate New York, my friend. New York, right?
As you look at it is. New York is. But that's Robert Barber. This is not actually a qualifying lap. He's just getting more additional practice here. He's already done his 2 that count for time. This is actually a 3rd lap for him. So he's just trying to get more familiar. He's down in the 14th position on the grid. But we're going to take a quick look at the updated point standings. 3 races complete at this point in time. 3 different winners. Those drivers highlighted in yellow, they are locked into the playoffs. 12-driver playoff. We only have 7 weeks left in the regular season. That means that some of these drivers on the point cut line are going to get in based off of points. You have Jake Ellingson and Ken Bartholomew are on the cut line right now. These drivers get 2 drop races, so only their 8 best races actually count. Those drop races also help in case you miss a week, Dean. So these drivers, that cut line is going to be very, very tight. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out throughout the rest of this regular season. But today's going to be a big challenge for a lot of these guys, the road courses. But this next-gen car was designed to run on road courses. Something that, the NASCAR drivers maybe mentioned in the Netflix series that they don't love the road courses. But nowadays, the NASCAR Cup Series schedule has 7 of them on the schedule. So you have to learn to be better at them. They are difficult, but with this car, larger brakes, larger tires, they are a little bit easier to handle at the road courses, and they were actually designed similar to the Australian supercar, Dean, that I know that you love.
Oh yeah, V8s, the supercars, of course, back in Australia, and they're still doing it. But they've added, rather than just Ford and Holden, which is basically GM and Ford, they added more cars of recent late after a period of time. Because the Nissan Skylines, my dear friend, that I used to own a GTR 32 were dominating. But in this one at the moment there, Brandon is in there. He's in the 2nd place. Looking good for qualifying. Steve Tucker is in P2. We'll get those qualifying results for you. He's in P3, causing the standings. But no Jamie on the grid. So take advantage of that for the rest of the drivers. Daryl, Eddie Smith, and so forth and so forth. Over to you, my friend, as we get that grid coming up very, very, very soon.
Yeah, just about a minute, 15 seconds till we grid. And so before that, we're going to take this quick moment to thank a sponsor of the Goat Locker Racing family and the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. And we're going to talk about today, Veterans for Life Foundation is also the presenting sponsor on the Thursday Night ARCA series. The primary vision of Veterans for Life, which was founded in 2010, is to revitalize communities by supporting military veterans and their families' successful transition back into civilian life by providing affordable housing, through support services, education, and counseling. They also sponsor several veteran drivers in Goat Locker Racing, including Jamie Perkins, who is an auxiliary board member of the Veterans for Life Foundation. I did not see Jamie Perkins currently on the grid, so unfortunately he's not running tonight, but a huge organization that is sponsored with Goat Locker Racing for a very, very long time. Should be a lot of fun. And in these races, it is a great thing for Goat Locker Racing and the veteran community that they put on here. And they have put on some shows the last few weeks. Kind of a little bit of a caution fest, though, last week, Dean, at Darlington. Brandon Evans ended up taking home the win. A lot of chaos. The lady in black was not very kind to the field.
You've got to also be in that, you mentioned it perfectly on that one, but you also got to be at the top of the timesheets. You'll generally find that the drivers that qualify quite well up high in the top 10 have a good shot towards the end of the race. You don't realize that when there's big wrecks and everything else that goes on. But it's always good to get your machine in the crucial places. And speaking of crucial places, right now we get the grid. Hello, everybody in the chat. We see Ray out there and everybody else. But for now, let's focus on the man on the pole.
Yeah, that man on the pole is Brandon Evans. He'll have Steve Tucker his outside. Those 2 drivers who already have wins on the season, already locked in the playoffs, looking for more tonight. Row number 2 has Patrick Drabick and Bobby Germain. Row number 3, Mark McCrary and George Jewell. Row number 4, that's Jake Ellingson and Kyle Westby. Rounding out your top 10, that's going to be Jeremy Gardner, Alan Marshall. Looking back at row number 6, it's Brandon Barrier and Tanner Bethea, who had a good, solid week going last week. Didn't end up the way he wanted it to, not finishing inside the top 3. Looking back behind that, Scott Formosa, Rob Barber, we saw running extra laps in qualifying session. Joe Hobbs, Colton Langford, the young gun. Doug Ellingson in the field tonight as well. Dougie, Dean loves some Dougie. And he's got John Anthony at his outside, Dustin Hardy and Jason Kraft rounding out your top 20, your 20 driver field tonight. They're going to have one full pace lap around this beautiful 2.4-mile road course in upstate New York. And then we're going to go racing for 40 laps, Dean. And this should be a lot of fun.
And I'm just reading in the chat at the moment that Dougie, of course, Dougie's in the house tonight. Hello, guys. Dougie says, as you are going to notice, I am scratched for tonight's race. I simply cannot get around this track. You can, Dougie. We believe in you, my friend. It doesn't matter if you're back in P17th place at the moment. Just get it done. Practice makes perfect. You'd be surprised in the amount of drivers that I have broadcasted over the years now, Tyler. And a lot of them said to me, look, Dean, I cannot handle this track. I hate it. It's one of my pet peeves of a track. And then after a while, they start to go, you know what? I'm growing into it. Once I learn these little things that I don't like about a track, I'm getting better and better. And then they start performing and then they start winning. So don't give up, I'm saying. Get it done. Put some laps in under your belt there. Don't expect yourself necessarily to be in the top podium, but hey, got to be in it to win it. Practice makes perfect. Braden Evans knows it, Steve Tucker knows it, and Bobby knows it.
Yeah, as we see, your only scratch then tonight from the 20-car starting grid will be Doug Ellingson again, hoping for the best.
Oh,
for
come
you all
on,
the rest of the
Dougie.
season.
That's it. I'm in the broadcast. It's over. All right.
No. Our bold Australian. But Brandon Evans is going to lead your field to green, and we're going to be able to ride along board with Brandon Evans throughout this race. We're going to wait till maybe the field spreads out
have a look at him
before we do so, because we're going to look here in now at your pollster. That is Brandon Evans. He's got the racing gloves on. He looks very comfortable, very determined, but also he doesn't look too anxious about this place. And a lot of drivers, like you mentioned, especially in the NASCAR full speed documentary on Netflix, a lot of drivers just loathe road racing, absolutely despise it. And you know, a lot of, like myself included, I used to hate road racing. I didn't enjoy it. I think I was really bad at it. And then you just spend time working on it, right? And you don't even have to do it in a NASCAR car, even for a NASCAR series. I think the best way to learn how to road race is in a GT car or in a low power formula car, where, you know, you have to learn brake control, throttle control, but also understanding that steering inputs do play a lot in how these cars are going to get around this track here. So I think that part of it is just getting out of your comfort zone, maybe not running just oval races on the service, learning those road courses and having fun with them. As you see the field going to split through the bus stop there, one lane going through the offshoot. They won't be able to do that, though, in the race, Dean.
I think you called it perfectly on that one. You got to get in those GT3 cars there, get a bit of a practice under your belt there, and then you get used to it for these cars, because it's still the same track. It's just the different machine that's on top of it. So once you get to learn, always learn the track first. Learn the bumps, learn where you can get some acceleration, some speed, the apexes and all that jazz. And then after that, you start learning the machinery that you use on top of it. We also have, of course, Jake as well. There's Jake. So Jake, don't forget, there is one Jake in there, Doggy, even though he may have elected to retire. Jake is back in P7. But what is going to happen, of course, is we're going to have a race on our hands at the moment, because they're coming around the final couple of corners there. You can see on your track map. We're going to get ready to go green flag racing here. Watkins Glen, upstate New York. Let's go.
Yeah, the iRacing Porsche pace car pulls off the track, and here we go. Green flag underway. Brandon Evans with Steve Tucker his outside. They get clean jumps. Looks like everyone's trying to get slowed down here for the first corner, the 90-degree right-hander, turn number 1. Very, very difficult corner coming down the hill, getting on the brakes. Looks like we're clean through there, and they're going to travel up through the S's in turns 2, 3, and 4. Brandon Evans holds the lead single file for most of the field, a little bit 2 by 2 further back, but Brandon Evans handling the S's masterfully right now. Steve Tucker's falling down to second. Patrick Drabick moved up, falling down to third. Patrick Drabick's moved up to second as they work down that back straightaway towards the bus stop.
And remember, it's just like some of those oval courses. It's not easy overtaking. There's a crash in the background. Is that Tanner? Is somebody into the fence? Yes, it is. Tanner's involved. I think that's Joe, maybe.
Kyle
no,
Westby.
it's not. It's
Kyle Westby would be the other
Kyle.
driver.
I still have green, of course, because it ain't get this track is a lot longer than, of course, an oval. So that's the advantages and disadvantages, of course, that you will have on a road course. So nothing Brandon Evans needs to worry about at the moment, leading this one from Patrick. Still no changes at the top of the timesheets as they go to lap 2.
Yeah, Tanner Bethea has already towed his car, so his night already pretty much done before it started, it looks like, unless he plans on getting back on the track and using that fast repair, which it looks like he is. He hasn't left the car. Meanwhile, Brandon Evans will lead lap 1. Not a lot of movers here in the early stages other than Dustin Hardy and Jason Kraft, both up 4 spots. Tanner Bethea obviously down 7, Kyle Westby down 6. Those 2 drivers involved in that incident getting into the bus stop. Here we're right on board with Jake Ellingson. You look at him here into the S's. He works. See those hands working pretty smooth for now. Not a lot of oversteer, which is something that you can experience because you will have to upshift through those S's. The higher revs, the car gets a little bit light. As we look at him here now, driving towards the bus stop, hard on the brakes, downshifting multiple times. Pass there made. That was George Jewell. He'd get, no, my bad. Jeremy Gardner gets by George Jewell. George Jewell has a little bit of an issue there in the bus stop. And that's going to drop him a couple of spots. Nope, he will maintain over Brandon Barrier in that 53.
Bit of a lockup, of course, to allow Brandon to hunt him down at the moment there. And as we switch to Jake, of course, we want to see the potentially going to be an overtake, but Jake's going to sit back and relax at the moment, knowing 39 laps to go, which is a lot, of course, here in the Glen, because it's a lot longer. Remember, you're doing 120s at best. They're doing 117s, of course, but let's just say 120. Look at the way he glided around here at the moment, up towards the fence there. We're riding aboard, of course, with Brandon. And he'll settle in at the moment. But further back, Robert and Scott are going to go side by side.
Yeah, Robert had a great move down the back front straightaway. Scott's just going to kind of let him go. Robert Barber's going to try and settle. He's going to chase down Alan Marshall here up through the S's. See now, leader last time by ran a 1:12.04. That's almost a full second faster than anyone else on the track. So Brandon Evans is on one today. He is ready to go, and he is pulling away from this field. Robert Barber trying to reel in Alan Marshall just ahead of him up the road as these 2 drivers head towards the backstretch as they exit the S's. Field already getting spread out just a little bit here. Again, only 19 cars in the field, 18 on the lead lap at this point in time. That's going to happen at these road courses. But as tires wear and fuel strategy comes into play, Dean, we'll see a lot of different elements of this race play out.
You're absolutely correct, my friend. That's the reason why road courses are a little bit different than ovals. It's not going to be easy to bunch up and just overtake a few cars here. Overtaking is also difficult on oval courses, but however, in a road course, you start to spread out because you've got a huge gap now forming, because you can see currently on your track map at the moment is you're seeing a battle occurring right here of Robert Barber there, Brandon and Scotty. But exactly, you got to work strategy into play here. Tires and fuel, crucial. When are you going to box? Don't expect so many cautions because they're not going to come into play as much as the road course. So who's going deep in the outside?
Yeah, Robert Barber went way wide there off the corner in that 57 Flow Racing machine. Looks like multiple other drivers have also gotten around Alan Marshall. Kyle Westby now the next driver trying to get by after getting involved in an incident earlier with Tanner Bethea losing some spots, trying to make up places early on. Not going to get a great run down the backstretch, didn't exit the S's. You see maybe a little bit of a steering damage, something damage to one of those front wheels as that wheel's a little bit off-centered as he was entering the bus stop and going down that back straightaway. Meanwhile, that 25 machine at Colton Lanford, he's up 4 spots. A lot of drivers up 4 spots early on. Not a lot of close battles on the track other than this tight group here. And Jeremy Gardner is starting to reel in Bobby Germain just a little bit, but he's still a decent ways back. So we're going to keep looking at the action here in the mid-pack, where the racing is actually fairly close and fairly connected at this point in time. These drivers all very similar talent levels, which puts on great racing. As you see, Robert Barber got a little bit loose there off of turn 6.
You got to look at Kyle Westbury at the moment there. He's making a bit of a run. Now, I have a replay of what happened to Kyle early in this race, but for now, we don't need a replay. Live action into turn 1. Kyle's going to send it.
Yeah, Kyle Westby deep in on Alan Marshall there in turn number 1. He's going to get the pass there. He'll move up into the 13th position. Now only down 5 spots from his starting position, number 8 on the grid. But moving back up, further up the road, the battle for 5th and 6th is heating up. Jeremy Gardner's pulled within 0.3 of a second as you now ride on board. There is Jeremy Gardner's machine. He's trying to get by that 42 of Bobby Germain ahead. He's reeled him in the last few laps. running, you know, just about similar lap times to maybe a 10th quicker each lap, but he's there ready to pounce as they're going down towards turn number 6.
Have a look at the moment because you've got a couple more corners to switch around here at the moment before you start another lap. As the leader will be starting down the main straightaway. The leader will be starting lap 6 of 40. But these two drivers haven't got to the final corner at the moment. You can see the number 5 machine there. Sorry, it is number 5 on his livery, but it's number 6 in our missing livery. Oh, well, sorry. On the telemetry. There's Jeremy, too far back, I think, into turn 1.
Yeah, Jeremy's not going to be able to make the move, but he is closing still. He's right there. All it takes is one mistake from Bobby Jermaine, and Jeremy Gardner will be able to capitalize. But vice versa, Jeremy Gardner can't afford to make a mistake because he'll lose all that valuable ground he's gained on Bobby Jermaine at this point in the race. Should get a pretty solid run here on the back straightaway with the draft. He's going to close up nice and tight. This may be his opportunity in towards the bus stop. Let's see if he takes it. He looks to the inside. That's Gardner. Nope, he decides out of it at the last second. Yeah.
Yeah, but through the S's, that's the thing. Through the S's, you're not too bad on that one. You're not too bad going through the S's on that because you can go off the racing line and then still get the speed, as you can see clearly here right now. So he still will be able to stick in through that one. They go very, very wide out here at the moment. Don't worry about track limits. It's not Formula 1. You can run out wide here. And here he is sizing up, but nowhere to go around here, my friend. I would say get the best tuck in you possibly can out of the exit of this turn here. The final turn, and then go for go for the opportunity and turn on. And he's going to do it. He's going to do it on cue.
Yeah, he crosses over here on the front straightaway. As we look, he's going to be down to the inside, entering turn number 1. He's trying to clear. He's still got their noses clear, body's clear. He should be able to complete the pass off of turn number 1. They both keep it nice and tidy, not using that extra runoff area after turn 1 as they go up through the S's. He have a P5 to Jeremy Gardner for the meanwhile. At this point, though, this whole battling has allowed Jake Ellingson to close the gap. He's only 0.6 of a second now behind Bobby Jermaine. You see him there in picture. He's going to try and chase down that number 42 machine, that 27, to ride on board with him for the time being. Looking in at him, he's waiting here down into the bus stop. Nice right, then back to the left. Very, very bumpy, these curbs. Really does cause a lot of difficulty handling here in these cars. But it is significantly easier than in years past, right? These cars used to have a lot of issues, and now they are successfully making and navigating these road courses because of the independent suspensions now put in the next-gen car. And on top of that, just the way that these cars are built, like we mentioned in the pre-race, V8 supercar pedigree, very, very good on road courses. Still a challenge, but a significant improvement to the quality of NASCAR's road racing.
And you see currently at the moment live pictures, of course, with Jake that we're riding on the 27 machine out there to keep obviously the likes of Ray and everybody else is chatting out there. Dougie's watching this one. I don't think Dougie's in the car. Of course, he's retired early. Dougie can give us a little inspiration there on the family members. He's turned to the left there, looked at something. Focus on the track mode there, friend there. Come on, Jake. As you can see, going close to the fence there. Look at the focus, the gloves. And he's even taking his hand off the downshifting there and gets a little bit of a scratch in the face, nothing like that, is it? And there you go, there's your live pictures at the moment there. As is following Alexa, Bobby and Jeremy Gardner at the moment, who's also putting pressure on Mark.
Bobby Jermaine went off track there.
Yep,
major mistake for Bobby Jermaine in the bus stop, and that's going to allow... Because we're going to be... There we go. There we see where Bobby Jermaine is. He had a major moment in that bus stop, and that is going to allow Jake Ellingson to take the 6th position and continue his charge up through the field. We're going to see the replay of it here. Bobby Jermaine just kind of lost the grip into those tires. Not too bad. Should not really affect the race car, but still a minor off-track excursion for that number 42 machine as he'll drop to the 7th position. As we look back up front, up the road, that's Brandon Evans, your pole sitter, your leader. He's led every lap so far as he goes up through the S's. And the young kid is really running well.
Do you want to see a picture of him? You want to see the focus of him? There it is.
Let's get on board with the young gun.
What if he's listening to us? Give us a wiggle of the steering wheel down the straightaway there, Brandon, if you are listening. Some drivers are actually going to pit road. I think his focus is good. You see when the seat moves, he's slamming the brake pedal. Look at him fighting through the steering wheel through here at the moment. That is not easy, ladies and gentlemen. That is esports racing at its best. And you know that because these racing rigs, you got pedals there, you got brake pressure, literally, well, pressure on the wheel, on the pedals, don't you? And it takes a lot. People go, oh, Really, lift off the steering
Yeah.
wheel for a second. Do you realize
No,
why he did
that was no. He was giving a peace symbol, I think, to the camera there. And you see, he does have a unique thing where it looks like he has somewhat of a motion rig, right? You could tell the bumps through the corners there that he was experiencing
Does
a
he have
little bit of
butt
movement
kicker?
in that seat. He might have, but I'm
One
not
of our
exactly sure what
sponsors?
Brandon has. But
Yeah.
one of our maybe potential sponsor, Butt Kicker. But you can see the way that it's not just the direct drive wheel that's causing the motion. You're seeing the chair itself actually move here. You'll see it especially as he goes up through the S's. You'll see, yep, there it is, that tilting back and forth. You can see the seat itself reacting to the road itself. And really just that kind of helps you understand where your grip is on the track because you can feel the slip of the tires a little bit more than you would if you just had a wheel and pedal kit. So you'll really see it here in the bumps in the bus stop. Boom. You see that seat rocking back and forth,
Oh, I'm feeling it.
fighting that wheel. Yeah. And that's a really cool look in at Brandon Evans, your winner last week at Darlington, just kind of seeing how he handles and approaches this track. Right now, your leader by 6 seconds over Patrick Drabeck, but maybe a battle for seconds starting to brew behind as Steve Tucker has started to reel in Patrick Drabeck the last few laps. It's 4/10 faster last lap. Call that 3/10 of a second now. And Mark McCrary also kind of joining this battle here right behind them.
You called it perfectly, and it's good to get that experience out there for people that are not actually driven in racing rinks, including myself, actually. Seen many of them do it, but never experienced it myself. But Steve Tucker at the moment is experiencing an opportunity to get on the back of Patrick. Turn 1.
Yeah, as it goes down towards turn number 1, that downhill hard 90-degree right-hander. All those drivers keeping it relatively neat, not going off track at all, not using any of that runoff area as they go through the S's. Tucker's hoping to have a nice clean S curve here in order to get as much of a draft going down the back straightaway, close the gap, and maybe have an attempt in at the bus stop, but looks like he didn't get the drive he wanted. He won't have an opportunity as we go down towards that bus stop. Just the drivers have a lot on their hands. Yeah, they're shifting every single lap, every single corner, 5-10 plus times a lap. They're gonna do at least 400 gear changes tonight alone, and that kind of does wear and tear on you, especially if you're used to oval racing where you don't do a lot of road course racing where you change gears on restarts and coming to pit road, and that is literally it. Once you get up to 4th gear, for most time when you race ovals, obviously the next gen car kind of an exception to that where it has 5 gears, you're generally sitting in 4th gear most of the time, not having to worry about all that stuff. So this is an added challenge for the drivers tonight. They have to focus on a lot more going on inside the cockpit of these race cars.
Yeah, exactly. Different to oval racing where you actually get drafting off the other cars and the wall and everything else. This is about more of the track itself there, how to feel the track, how to spot the apexes, how to get the right acceleration out of the corners, and also the tire wear is completely different, of course, because you've got left and right. A few drivers coming to pit road at the moment. Jeremy is going to pit road very early, but electing to take a different strategy, which is going to be crucial, of course, for those road courses. But the battle is still resuming up here. And on top of it, my friend, you got to remember that there are elements at play because the damage as well too. You jump over the chicanes too much there, that car's going to scrub. It's going to damage. You can put a little bit of troubles into these cars. And these drivers are well aware of it. And look at that, even running off there. Brandon leading way up the road there. But the biggest battle right now, currently P2, P3, P4.
Yeah, P2, 3, 4 under essentially a blanket. Call it less than a second between the first one of those drivers, Patrick Drabeck, and the last one, that's Mark McCreary. All kind of running very patiently, none able really to make a move around the other. Just due to small mistakes, right? It looks like they're running relatively clean laps, but they are making small errors each and every lap. You see some of them run wide on certain corners, some of them get a little bit loose, they lose runs. So these drivers do have their hands full. Watkins Glen is not a new surface by any means, kind of an old bumpy surface. And when you use a lot of curve like we saw Steve Tucker there, it makes the ride just a little bit more bumpy.
It is bumpy, and those walls take no prisoners like they do in any circuit, really, at the end of the day. Get into them, you're in big trouble. 13 of 40, 28 to go, really. Getting through this at the moment. Appreciate everybody out there for supporting every single one of the drivers in the chat. We get through that. 26 of you watching right now. Loving it all. Brandon leading, Patrick. So not too much change there. You got to give it to Jake, but Jake's up 2 positions. Got a long way to go down the road to catch Mark. And that battle, of course, for P2, P3, and 4 is brewing down the road. But when is Brendan going to jump into that pit road? Not right now. Well, it's close enough. No, he can't. But somebody else jumped the pit road. That's John in. That's John. John went in there. Brandon will stay
Yep,
out.
John.
And when do you expect Brandon to go in? Got traffic coming up the road too.
Yeah, he's got the lap car, or soon to be lap down car of Robert Barber just ahead of him. But really, I mean, Brandon's not losing a ton of time. His fastest lap of the race was a 1:11.5. Last lap by, he ran a 1:12.1. That's only a 6/10 drop off. That's not significant in any way, shape, or form. So he's probably not worried about tires. He may just be like, all right, if I can't make it on fuel, I'll split the race in half, do 20 laps, minimize the amount of wear and tear on these tires, and just keep going out at the pace he is. Problem is, this pit road is very, very difficult to get on. It's right after turn 7 or turn 11, whatever you call it, the right-hander, and it's very, very quick to get on. And it's 35, I want to say, miles an hour to get to this pit road speed, maybe 45, but still a very slow pit road speed on a tight corner, made even tighter by trying to get on pit road. So when these drivers are getting on pit road, hopefully they're getting on it without anyone around them. That's going to make it a lot easier to safely get down to pit road speed on time, not worry about getting hit from behind.
Here comes Steven Tucker on Patrick Trebek. They two of the famous names you're going to know here at the NASDAQ 360 Network. If you haven't tuned into many of the races we have all week long. At the moment, don't forget, Mark is lurking in the background for the 83 machine. This is the battle for P2 and it's been brewing up for a very, very long time. Nobody's jumped ship. Yep, Brandon Evans has not jumped into pit road. 26 laps to go. We're expecting they will have to go on the pit road. But at the moment, don't talk to these drivers about it. It's battle game on, and Patrick still leading this bunch.
Yeah, it looked like a massive lockup for Jake Ellingson behind them. He had a little bit of an issue getting that car slowed down into turn number 1. As we see the battle still continuing, Steve Tucker in the middle of this sandwich between Patrick and Merck. They work down the back straightaway out of the S-curve. Again, no advantage to any driver, no one having a run big enough to make a move. They're just kind of waiting to see if someone makes a mistake. That's going to be their biggest chance to capitalize on any of these other drivers in this group of 3. Someone makes a mistake, you're able to capitalize on it, just like we saw Jake Ellingson capitalize on the mistake by Bobby Germain earlier in the bus stop. That is the easy way to make a pass in road course racing. But now a little bit of a mistake there. That's from Patrick Drabick. He runs a little wide. Steve Tucker smells some blood in the water going towards turn number 6. He's going to try. Nope, nothing comes of it. Patrick getting a nice enough recovery in that little runoff area that Steve did not have the opportunity to press his attack further. So we have 25 laps to go, Dean. Race really flying by at this point.
Tyler, road courses are a little bit different than ovals. This is the reason why some of these drivers could get into some of those GT races, get into some of those open GT iRacing leagues that you can, leagues, just open events. Because you're going to learn where is your key entrance and exit spots there. Because there are overtaking opportunities. And like Steve is following Patrick at the moment. He's been following Patrick for some time. He knows exactly, but he's also mirror driving because he does have Mark in his mirrors. And Mark's going to make a challenge at the moment there. And Mark's like, I'm sorry, my friend, you took too long. You took too long to bring it to Patrick and got the job done for the 83 machine.
Yeah, Mark McCreary taking advantage of Steve Tucker not having a great exit, but now he did not have a great exit there through turn number 5. Steve Tucker's going to bring the challenge right back to him. Those two looking to be side by side. That was close there as they go towards turn number 6. Steve Tucker looking to make a move. Nope, he gets covered off. Kind of looked like Steve Tucker just kind of let him go on the bus stop, and then Mark didn't have a great rest of the bus stop. He had a really good entry, but kind of struggled. Tucker got back to his back bumper. Couldn't make anything happen of it. Now that group's gotten spaced out a little bit. You see Patrick Drabick already pulled up over a second over Mark McCreary now. So now these drivers, since they battled the 2nd and 3rd place drivers, they're going to have to refocus, reestablish their rhythm, and get back into it. But you see Mark McCreary getting really loose there off of turn number 1.
This is the difference between this and oval. Oval racing, of course, you got to work together as teammates. You need the side draft, you need the bump draft, you need everything. But when you're on road courses, you need to work together as to say, look, if I'm quicker, if Patrick's like, I'm quicker, because you got to think about this. Do you gentlemen at the moment, Patrick's thinking, I want a race win. Mark's thinking, I want a P2. Steve's thinking, I want a P3. But the problem is, Brandon's leading it by such a margin. So it's up to the rest of the pack to work together to say, can we hunt the race winner down? 24 laps to go. That's the question. And if you're squabbling at the moment for, a podium, which is not really squabbling too much, but you are squabbling, and every time you're squabbling, you're allowing Patrick to go, I got another second on you. Easy peasy. And he has currently, 9 to 10 seconds lead everybody else.
Yeah, Brandon Evans, call it 9.5 seconds right now, leading over the field. Last lap by ran a 1:12.1. Patrick Drabick ran a 1:12.3. But the fastest lap last time around was Mark McCurry in a 1:12.09 as we look on board again with that number 39 machine as you go through the S's. He's got a lap car there in his way. Lap car moves out of the way. No problems there. Brandon looking up the road. He's looking to get some lap time back here. Mark McCurry ran a really good lap the last lap, but it looks like he's already given up some ground, had to struggle through turns 1, maybe the S's as well, as we saw last time. Still over a second behind Patrick Drabick at this point in time, but he is pulling away from Steve Tucker a little bit, almost a full second between the drivers in 3rd and 4th. Jake Ellingson has kind of stalled out in his charge to get up inside, any further inside the top 5. He's stuck in 5th, about 6 seconds behind Tucker. Bobby Germain back in the 6th.
Close on the
position
pit
at this
road.
point
I was
in
going to say close on the pit road at the moment. Then we can see Mark on Patrick at the road there. So then they're spread out a little bit. They're allowing enough space there where they should not be thrown off by their braking points, of course, because you've got to get your braking points correctly around Watkins Glen or any road course, because you know exactly, hey, this is where I need to slow down a little bit. And each one of these drivers at the moment, Patrick, Mark, and Steve, all want to get their perfect braking points. Spot the apex, slow in, fast out is the rule. As Dougie's out there, Brandon has a big blundy rig. Does he really? I mean, Brandon looks like he has well, Brandon just looks like Brandon. We can't really see his big blundy rig, but Brandon's focusing on, look, he can even take his hand off the steering wheel down the straightaway. Gets himself into those turns, gets the job done. He still has that major gap. That's close to about 10 seconds at the moment. Not enough for a pit stop. Again, I'm hitting the wrong camera. But, however, over to you, Tyler. What's the rest of the situation? They don't need to box, or do they?
I think they will, but I think it's really more for fuel than anything else. We haven't seen any fall off in the tires. I don't know if they have enough fuel to make the rest of this race. I did not get to speak with any drivers pre-race, unfortunately, about what the fuel window looks like. But Brandon Evans right now, 10-second lead. You know, obviously if he pits, he'd probably fall back into the 9th or 10th position between Colton Langford and Alan Marshall. But it looks like some smoke up ahead on the road. Definitely not from Brandon Evans, probably from the lap car between him and the rest of the field. But we do see a driver coming down pit road. That's Mark McCurry, the 3rd place driver. The first of the major dominoes to fall. Coming down pit road here. He's going to get his service. I'm waiting to see exactly whether or not he takes tires or fuel only. But very interesting to point out that he is the first driver inside the top 10 to come down pit road tonight for service. Almost the halfway point as we're working lap 19 of 40, 21 to go.
You're going to watch Mark at the moment from Kingsport, Tennessee at the moment there. He's going to show the 83 machine. Yes, he will take our tires to the left there. Zzz, zzz, zzz. We can do sound effects, of course, up here at the booth. Will it take right side tires? No. Yes, he will. There it is. So he'll take right side tires. Carl's also gone into pit road a little bit further down there. Out on the loud pedal, the 83 machine. Have a look at the track map. How much would he lose? He should be cool and calm and collective. He should maybe squeeze in around the 12th or 13th position. There he is. So he'll actually stay back at P9. But a few drivers are also boxing behind him.
Yeah, it's Kyle Westby's pit. So it looks about 40 seconds. Maybe was lost by Mark McCurry for pitting. He was about 10 seconds behind the leader when he came down pit road. He's now 50 seconds. So it's about a 40-second loss being on pit road, it looks like, for these drivers. Kyle Westby, he'll come out in the 13th position.
Yeah, behind the leader as well, too. Look at the track map. He's behind the race leader. That's worse. The good thing about, obviously, you said further up, that Mark is actually ahead of the race leader. And you want to be ahead of the race leader because you know the race leader is going to come in. Brandon leading this one at the moment. They're in charge, in domination for the 39 machine. But we know at some point he has to go to pit road. Look at that corner cutting at the moment there. You'll get penalized big time if you're in a other racing leagues, my friend. But luckily at the moment there, Watkins Glen's been kind to you. Scott's going to pit road.
Yeah. Yep, that's Scott Formosa's down pit road. Colton Langford as well down pit road. Both of those drivers pitting together. They were near each other on track for the longest time. Now they're coming down pit road together at the midway point. 20 laps down, 20 laps to go. Brandon Evans, though, still has not pit. He's still on track. He's looking to come through the final couple turns here. Looking down the front straightaway, he will complete another lap, finishing lap 21. He'll have the 19 to go this time by. Patrick Drabick, though, will he stay out another lap? It looks like the 07 will stay out, as will Steve Tucker in that 24. Boston, Massachusetts native for Harpoon Design. Jake
stays out.
Ellingson, 4th position. He stays out for another lap as well. We'll see what Bobby Germain does here, another top 5 driver.
Go in, Bobby. Go in. Hug it like your favorite grandma. No, he does not. Bobby stays out. What about George? No, he stays out as well. So we're looking at through the rest of the pack here at the moment, a little bit further back. So, all right. Pit stop strategies can win you races or lose you races in the Glen. At the moment, Brandon's gambling in this one. Now, having a look at the gap there. So remember, Mark took the first pit stop and the only pit stop actually in the drivers in the top 10. He's P7. But what is his gap to the leader?
He's 51 seconds behind the leader right now, so he's not making up enough ground time being to take the lead when the leader pits. That being said, he is running faster than your leader, Brandon Evans, for the time being. Brandon Evans' last lap was a 1:13.3. Mark McCreary ran a 1:12.7, so over half a second faster. The problem is that's still not going to be fast enough, in my opinion, to close this gap. George Jewell, though, last lap on the old tire, still hasn't pitted, ran his fastest lap of the race. That was a 1:12.7. And as soon as I say Brandon Evans was slowing down, he just put down a 1:11.7 second lap, only 2/10 off his fastest lap of the race. So he seems to have found the pace again, gotten out of some lap traffic that may have been around, maybe a small mistake as well. And he's going to reopen that lead by probably a significant margin on that lap.
Stop showing off Brandon Evans. You're too good at the moment there. Scotty goes in there from Mount Juliet there in Tennessee. A few Tennessee drivers in here at the moment. Welcome everybody, of course, into the chat there. We got the Ellingsons at the moment there from Milwaukee. There you go. No Milwaukee mile at the moment. The only mile you have is the Goat Locker Racing League here at Watkins Glen. Not a mile in change, a little bit more than that one. Brandon leading.
Yep.
And when will Brandon pit will be the biggest question. Well, the only person that knows, of course, is let's ride on board the man that knows exactly what he's going to do, what he's going to do. Look at him. He can take his steering on the steering wheel. Scratch his eye. All right. Cool, calm, and collected. Brandon starts another lap.
Yeah, that's what happens when you just are comfortable, right? You feel comfortable. You know that you're one of the better drivers at a circuit. You have a significant lead. You're not under any pressure, right? If he was under pressure, I guarantee he would not be taking his hand off the wheel as much as he is to make sure he's comfortable. That being said, obviously, when you have now a 12-second lead over second place, you're kind of more just focused on not overdriving any of the corners and not wrecking, right? You're just kind of worried about hitting a smooth, consistent lap. You don't need to hit the fastest laps anymore. You just need a smooth, consistent lap. It's probably more than enough for Brandon to take home the win right now. So we have 17 laps to go. He's coming to 16 laps to go. Still has not pit. Actually, no one inside the top 6 has pit yet. First driver to come down pit road is Mark McCreary. He pit on lap number 19. Alan Marshall also has not pit. He's in the 8th position. So drivers 1 through 8 still on the lead lap. Although Brandon Evans is going to try and reel in Alan Marshall. Will he come down pit road?
No, he's not. Look at it. I saw the steering wheel go off there at the moment. He was not. He actually spoke to somebody before. Maybe his engineer or his spotter. Because you notice that before the couple of turns before he doesn't speak too much. You can actually look at the little picture. He does not talk too much. He's pushed back on the seat there as he's making his way into another lap. But, as you're talking about cool, calm, and collective, my friend, as Carlos Sainz, who we're not sure what's going to happen in the next year and change. But I'll tell you one thing right now. Brandon D. Evans is smooth operator around Watkins Glen.
Yeah, the driver who won 8 races last season, won the Next Gen Cup Series title as well. Looking to repeat as champion, but also repeat the performance he had last year. Didn't have necessarily the best start he wanted to the season. Didn't get a win in either of the first 2 races. Thought he would have a good chance at Las Vegas. Ends up finishing 3rd there. Dominates, really, at Darlington. Yeah, he didn't lead a little bit in the middle to near the end of portions of that race, but he was the fastest car out on track for a long time early on and late in that race as well. So he's looking to get his 2nd win of the season. He wants to match the 8 wins that he had last season. That's going to take a lot of work here, right? Watkins Glen, yeah, the road course specialist, he should probably win these races. But looking at super speedways, those are a crapshoot. And he didn't even win Las Vegas, which I think is a track that he wishes he would have won. So It'll be interesting to see how his season progresses, if he can match or even beat what he did last year. But I think he's going to have a hard challenge, especially with drivers like Steve Tucker, Patrick Drabeck, Jake Ellingson, Bobby Germain, all drivers who have run really well here. I mean, Tucker already has a win, and Jamie Barkas, obviously not here tonight, Dean, but he does have a win on the season at Las Vegas.
But biggest thing I'm worried about at the moment there, P7, of course, is taking a pit stop. Jill's gone in the pit stop. So, as you said, pit stops are going to be crucial. And, well, we do know the man. There's Mark. Mark is the man that took that pit stop earlier. Look at that. 5 laps on fresh boots and fast pace. And everybody else is going to come into pit road at the moment. So, we're going to get all that for you on the live 360 Nazareth network. There it is. Georgie goes in. There you go, my friend. Get some fresh boots, right? There you go. Take it up there. Another Milwaukee, Ray, and everybody else there in the chat. Of course, Dougie. Yeah, well, a Milwaukeean, you want to be... I'm sure they're shouting out for the 36 machine.
Michigan.
Oh,
Michigan.
Milwaukee. Oh, God, I got all that part. Granted, I'm not an American, so I get away with that one.
Yeah, he is from... he's a Michigan native, but...
Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah, a little bit of a different state, but
Kyle's
still
going in.
running really well tonight. Yeah, Kyle Westby has come back down pit road. This is his second pit stop, I believe. So this is not a scheduled stop. It looks like he has some damage. He's been on pit road for over 50 seconds now. So
where did he get that second damage to get that one? But
I don't know.
Further
He had the
focus
initial
on
incident.
Brennan. Now, you can see on the track map, he's got a few more corners to go. This is not the usual Watkins Glen that I'm used to for the GT3 series or the other road series, because we have a little bit more turns to this. But then again, these machines are not designed for it. And don't worry about Brendan Evans. He can tackle this one. And I don't think at any point this traffic's going to be in play, because get an indication to see where he's going to peel in the pit road. No! Stays out for another lap.
Yeah, Brandon Evans looking he'll continue his charge for. He's going to try and put another driver a lap down. That's Alan Marshall right ahead of him on the road. Brandon Evans is going to try and make quick work of him here into turn 1. He's going to go around the outside. Marshall just kind of sitting there on the bottom. It's going to affect Evans' lane just a little bit, but not too much. Evans, the leader, puts him a lap down. Lapping up to now the 7th place car. Only 6 cars on the lead lap. Just really a quality performance from Brandon Evans so far tonight, doing exactly what he needs to do with 13 laps to go. And he just ran his fastest lap of the race on 27 lap old tires. He just ran a 111.3. I mean, this kid just continues to impress throughout the evening.
Stop showing off, man. You're so amazing. Why not? You can show off. You're on the camera. Look at that. Brilliant driving. And this is actually, you don't get to see this very often, but you will see it on the Nazareth Locker Racing Network. The focus on the steering wheel. This is what I love. You see, it looks like you're just pointing the car straight. It's like easy peasy, but you wait till it gets to his braking point right now. See the focus. See his eyes. He's looking into the corner already. He's focusing on what I would say meters, but you can talk about yards. He's focusing already on the next turn. See him stepping up a little bit. What was with that? I don't understand. They're not a breaking point, but see how body shifted?
Yeah, it's probably due to the seat actually moves itself a little bit, so he's body shifting to work with the seat. A little bit of a lockup there into turn number 1. So Brandon Evans though still ran a really solid lap, I believe, last time by. Yep, 112.09. He's still your leader right now, over 14 seconds ahead of Patrick Drabeck with 12 laps to go here at Watkins Glen. It just has been a dominant display of driving talent here so far from Brandon Evans tonight. As we see Kyle Westby still on the pit road. He's still serving some repairs for some of that damage. Dustin Hardy also on pit road. Looks like he may have some damage as well.
What about Patrick?
Racing surface. Patrick's he's really solidified that second place position. We were worried, when Mark McCreary and Steve Tucker were on his bumper, but then McCreary and Tucker got in a battle, Dean, that we saw, and it was an amazing battle. But it's kind of allowed Patrick to get away from both of those drivers. Obviously, Mark has pit, Steve hasn't yet. But Steve hasn't closed the gap since. Patrick's been running consistent laps, smooth laps. I mean, last lap he ran a 112.1. Steve only ran a 112.3. That gap is now 3 seconds between those two drivers when it was down to about 0.2 seconds just about 10-15 laps ago. So Patrick Drabeck has really performed well here in the later showing of this run, as he has 11 laps to go here at the Glen.
And talking about that, Tyler, at the moment, those drivers in the top 5 have not gone down to pit road. And we're assuming they will have to 11 laps to go. Now, Patrick, of course, as you mentioned, look at the track map. He's got a couple of turns to go. The number 1 machine's going through the other sector at the moment. Patrick is going through this sector. He's got Steve Tucker not too far down the road from him. Jake is almost another sector down there. So, yeah, Brandon Evans has a good run at this one. But you said, can they go to the end? Can Brendan go to the end with 11 laps to go?
At this point, I'm wondering if maybe he's been saving fuel because he's had such a big lead to try and make it to the end of this race, because 11 laps to go, it'll be coming to 10 laps to go this time by. Again, just absolute smooth driving. See, nope, here's pitting. As soon as I say, is he going to try to make it to the end?
There it is.
10 laps to go.
He called
Dean,
it.
Here's his pit stop.
Now, talk us through this pit stop. What is he thinking right now? This is crucial. You mess it up, and you just miss your box completely. Look at him. And also, you got to remember, for a driver, you get a split-second break, right? Scratch anything in scratch. Have a little sip of water. Look at it. He's focused. He's focused completely. Let's have a look at this. Talk us through this pit stop.
Yeah, he's just looking to make sure he stops in the right place, doesn't overshoot the box, but also doesn't speed, right? He gets the number 1 pit stall there for being the pole sitter, gets into his box relatively cleanly. Patrick Drabick, Steve Tucker are going to get by him. Jake Ellingson gets by him. He went fuel only. No tires there for Brandon Evans' machine. He's taking gas only. He thinks he doesn't need tires, and based on his lap times, I would agree with him. He just got the exact amount of gas he needed. He is off pit road already. And he's going to have still well over 20 seconds back to Mark McCreary, as we see Bobby Germain now coming down pit road here for his service with 10 laps to go. So different strategy called there by the young driver Brandon Evans, but when you're as fast as he's been, why not do something different so you don't have to worry about waiting on pit road even longer?
Oh, Tyler, this is going to be fun. This is going to be absolutely exciting at the moment. I hope everybody's tuning in. Absolutely. Patrick is going to stay out. He's going 2 positions for the 07 machine. But he now has the opportunity to go into pit road and mimic what's happened. There's a pit road entrance. Right there. He can't stick to it. He's not going to do it. He's going to stay out for another lap. Steve Tucker. What will Stevie do? He stays out. Jake, you can have a look at on board right now at the Jake start. What will Jakey do? Jake Star loves it. No, he stays out for another lap. So, can they make it to the end? I don't know. I don't think so. If our race leader has elected to go into pit road, that's going to be safety. And you wouldn't do it if you're going to risk it. Alan's gone in, and as well as Joe.
Yeah, the fastest driver on track only went for fuel only. He's actually probably going to pass Jake Ellingson the next few laps, so we want to ride on board with Brandon Evans as he chases down Jake Ellingson. As you see, there's him trying to get by the lap car of Robert Barber, but just up the road beyond that lap car of Barber is that 27 of Jake Ellingson. But this lap car is really giving Evans a little bit of a fit here through the S-curve. Almost contact there, a little bit closer than he probably wanted. He's going to go chase down that 3rd place position of Jake Ellingson. Brandon Evans, though, gets by that lapper, but you see right there, that is that 3rd place driver, that 27 machine.
That's got to be so frustrating, isn't it? For a man that can win this race. You don't want to be battling with back markers, but they don't have to yield. There's no blue flags. They just have to drive. And I don't think Perona needs to be pushing that hard, really, at the end of the day. He's got such a gap and such a lead. Although, if Patrick does not box, if Stevie does not box, and Jack does not box, well, guess what? He's out of a podium.
Yeah, I think he'll get Jake in the next lap or 2 at this point. I mean, he's only a handful of seconds behind. Call it less than 2 seconds, and he was almost a second faster.
Here's Jake.
Actually, yeah, almost a second faster last lap. Jake Ellingson, Patrick Drabick, and Steve Tucker, I don't know what their strategy is per se, but they're going to try and stretch it as long as they can. The thing is, Brandon Evans is so fast, he's probably going to catch them before they even make it down pit road at this point. See Brandon Evans there peeking in a shot out of the S-curve here, right on board with the quarter panel of Jake Ellingson, looking back towards your former race leader, Brandon Evans. Goes through the bus stop there, nice and smooth.
Yeah, I'm wondering right now what Jake would be feeling. Have a look at this. Look at him. You can actually see in the live pictures that we have lovely here on the NASRA 360 network. He knows exactly that Brandon D. Evans has got some fresh boots in town. But look at the driver's expression. He's got the rig set up. He's got everything. What is he going to do?
Very serious, very focused on his lane. Patrick Drabick is in. Your race leader has pit. Steve Tucker still out on track, but Patrick Drabick is down pit road at this point in time. So cycle Jake Ellingson. Nope, he's coming down pit road. Cycle Brandon Evans all the way up to 2nd now. Once all these pit stops happen, as he'll get by Patrick and Jake Ellingson. Patrick still not yet to his pit box here. It's a long pit road at Watkins Glen. It doesn't
So
seem
Steve
like
Tucker's the
it
only one
really
stayed out at
is.
the moment there. Steve Tucker's the only one has not done made a pit stop yet. Brandon Evans looking comfortable in that P2. In fact, looking for a win. There is Patrick in and out. Good job there. Jake in and out. Come on, Jake. Get on the gas pedal. He should be on
Looks
that
like
in a
Jake's
second.
staying tires. Patrick went fuel
Oh.
only. Nope, Jake is fuel only.
All right, here we go.
We'll see if Mark McCreary gets by him. Mark McCreary
Yeah,
coming
Mark
through.
will.
Mark
And
McCreary
Mark
coming
got
into
Bobby.
turn 1.
Oh,
Nope, that was just a lapper Mark was racing with. But here's got Jake Ellingson here on the exit. They're going to be side by side as they go up through the S curves.
this is going to be
But
interesting.
Mark will take the
Interesting.
position. Mark gets the spot.
There you have it, my friend. Called it, and you got it. Interesting. These are crucial points in this championship, remember. Steve Tucker's going in.
Steve Tucker's in.
So Brandon's going to have a bigger smile. Look at Brandon right now. Here he is, P2, final corner. Bingo, he says. Sorry, Steve Tucker. I don't care if you have the fastest pit stop on the planet. You ain't going to beat me. And here is the man. Looking solid, looking strong. 6 laps to go.
Yeah, I see Brandon Evans, and he's got no one up the road for a long time. I mean, he's got a lot of clear space. You look at the track map, that green circle 1. I mean, he's all the way. The other driver's in the bus stop currently, so he's got no pressure ahead of him. Steve Tucker came down, got fuel only. Where will he cycle out? He'll cycle out ahead of Mark McCreary, so that early pit stop for Mark McCreary, getting tires as well, does not pay off. Steve Tucker will hold on to the 3rd position. Patrick Drabick is going to hold the 2nd position here. No change in your top 3 for the time being. Mark McCreary's pit strategy has failed him as he locks up the right fronts going into turn 1.
Oh, and how pressure from Jake at the moment. Let's go on board with Jake. Jake knows. He smells blood at the moment. He smells, well, not blood, my friend. I'm thinking P4. And he can get it. 6 laps to go.
Yeah, 6 laps remaining here at Watkins Glen. Jake Ellingson sees the 4th place driver, Mark McCreary, just up the road. Mark did get fresh tires on his pit stop. Jake Ellingson opted for fuel only. He's going to try and chase down that driver, number 83 machine. As they go through the bus stop, looks like a car went way off. That's going to be the lap car of, I want to say, of Scott Formosa. Behind them missed the bus stop completely, but the battle here, the closest battle on track, is the battle for 4th, and this is Mark McCreary and Jake Ellingson.
Now, I want to see the focus on Jake there. I know Ray at the moment there is probably holding on tight. Ray, give us a little bit of a feeling how it went. Anyway, don't go bothering Jake at the moment with his 27 machine. He's going to start another lap at the moment there. It'll be clocking that one down to 5 to go for them as Barney's looking in anticipation for them turning into turn 1.
Yeah, your race leader well up the road at this point in time. That is Brandon Evans. But right now, this is the battle on track, and that's for the 4th position. Mark McCreary and Jake Ellingson as the Ellingson 27 machine trying to chase down 83 of Mark McCreary. And, you know, this is going to be a tight battle. There's not a lot between them. Call it 0.8 of a second at the point in time. They both ran in the low 112s last lap by, so these drivers are going to have their hands full here for the last 5, call it 4.5 laps now around this Watkins Glen 2.4 mile road course in New York. So it's going to be a big challenge for these 2 drivers. 1, to race each other clean, but 2, try and make the pass. It's more difficult for Jake, right, Dean? Because it's always easier to catch someone than it is to pass them.
Opposite, because Mark boxed on lap 19. I think it's better for Jake. He's got better boots. And Jake should know it.
Jake didn't take any tires. Jake didn't take tires. He only did fuel.
Oh,
Jake only
right.
took
Okay,
fuel
fine.
on that last stop. So Mark McCreary is the only driver who in the top 5 who changed tires, which he does have better boots, but they are worn, right? Jake did allow his tires to cool down, but he doesn't have fresh rubber. So he's going to have a little bit of a challenge catching and passing. And passing at road courses, like we mentioned earlier, Dean, so difficult.
Oh, that's a
it's all about
massive
exit
inside
speed.
oversteer there. Little bit of panic on there. I'll tell you what right now, Jakester, if you want to get it done, you've got to get the power out of the final turn and take him to turn 1. Now, you've got 4 laps to go. Think about this one. Size him up if you want it. And get the best exits you can out of the 3rd sector. And then, if you're close, you need to be half a second. You need to be half a second out of turn for the final turn. And then into turn 1. Good luck on that one. But you know what?
Yeah,
Close
I would,
enough.
I would say even closer. I would say even closer than half a second. Probably gotta be closer to a quarter of a second if he wants to make a move. Especially, there's really 3 places you can pass at Watkins Glen. This one is one of the zones, although it's barely a passing opportunity. Coming down into turn 6, you can make a pass here as long enough straightaway if you get a good momentum out of turn number 5. The other opportunity, like you mentioned, Dean, is going down into turn 1. And then the other one is going into the bus stop on the back straightaway. A long straightaway out of the S's. Have an opportunity to get a big grab. That is your other passing opportunity. So there's only really 3 passing opportunities with 3 laps remaining. That means there's only 9, and this is one of them. So now there's only 8 passing opportunities really for Jake
the
Alex.
steer!
That's a big oversteer.
Yeah, that might have blown the opportunity there. Now he's got big trouble there. You know what? I might settle back and relax there and say, you know, Ray out there asking, I didn't catch that, Dean. Well, I think he caught that one there, Ray. And if anything, Jake, I'd probably settle at this point for a P5. Unless, of course, you force Mark into a mistake, that'll be it. But we have to get back to the man that's actually leading and has been leading, has been dominating. And I tell you what, I think you picked that in the green room, didn't you, Mr. Tyler?
Yeah, Brandon Evans.
You picked Brandon, didn't you?
you?
You said, I think Brandon's going to win this.
Yeah, in our pre-race in the green room chat, I said Brandon Evans, fastest driver in practice by nearly a second, out-qualified the rest of the field by about half a second. I said barring him getting in trouble in pit road or with a lapper, he should win this race, and he's proven why he is a threat on the road courses here in the Crusin Classics Next Gen Series with 2 laps to go. Call it 1.5 as he works down the back straightaway towards the bus stop. He's going to have 1 lapper to get around, it looks like, on the next lap and a half. Hopefully this lap car just kind of gets out of the way, Dean. Doesn't really hold him up any longer than he has to be. Meanwhile, the battle back in fourth position. It's half. Yep, here he gets around the lapper. Brandon Evans continuing his charge. He goes down towards turn number 6 for the penultimate time at turn number 7 as he's looking for the white flag here at Watkins Glen. Just a master class in road racing in a stock car tonight, Dean.
Tyler, talk us through the last lap as we're going to ride on board. I don't do it very often. I know there's other action on the field. Not too much. Talk us through the last lap. Talk us through. He's not going to lift off too much. He's still going to be quick. But talk us through Watkins Glen. Look at the steering. Look at the fighting. How is it feel to drive this car?
Brandon Evans there shifting up in the 3rd gear. He'll get up into 4th gear here on the S's here, but you won't see it till he turns back to the left. Yep, there it is. There's that 4th gear change. And now here it's all managing the tires, right? Keeping the tires underneath. There's a lot of wheel spin on those S curves as it gets a little bit light over the crest up to 5th gear. Then he comes down to the bus stop. He'll probably drop it down to 3rd. Yep, there's 3rd gear. Getting those right sides as close to that retaining wall as you can, cutting as much of that curve. And you'd think, you know, a big upshift, but actually he's going to downshift in the 2nd as he goes around this very, very long sweeping turn at number 5. He'll upshift back to 3rd on the back straightaway here, and then he'll go up to 4th. I don't know if he'll get to 5th. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. Nope, he won't. He'll downshift back to 3rd, and he'll maintain 3rd gear probably throughout most of this last little bit. Maybe a quick blip to 4th. Nope, actually down to 2nd, which I think is probably the right way. You keep the tires and revs up. And that's how you masterclass Watkins Glen. A little bit loose there off the turn number 7, but man, Brandon Evans dominates in fashion. He gets the win here at Watkins Glen. And this actually gives us plenty of time to go look at Mark McCurry and Jake Ellingson's battle for 4th as he's going to cool down lap here. Jake Ellingson, he's close enough. If he wants to send one in here on the last lap, he has an opportunity here towards number 5.
He's got to be too far away. You can't do it now at the moment. Yeah, you have to give it to Mark. Anymore. Yeah, Mark's sliding, sliding in the corner because he knows I don't have to return these tires to sender, but he will have to give Barney a bit of a flag wave. Good on you, Mark. P4.
Mark McCurry with a solid P4 there. Jake Ellingson rounds out your top 5. Meanwhile, we're waiting for the rest of the field to come through for their cool down laps or finishing up whatever lap they're on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bobby Germain and George Jewell will be the last drivers to finish on the lead lap. Bobby Germain here coming out of turn number 7 for the final time. He'll have a nice solid finish tonight as well. And a nice solid top 10, finishing in the 6th position. George Jewell there exiting turn number 7 as well. He'll finish in the 7th position, the last car on the lead lap here. This looks like Robert Barber will get back around. He's going to continue racing on. Brandon Evans has slowed down. Robert Barber is going to finish his race here tonight at Watkins Glen as the field is all on their cool down lap now, rolling through. really just a very clean race overall, Dean, and impressed with the way these guys handle themselves. We only really saw a couple like major incidents. Kyle Westby and Tanner Bethea, lap number 1 in the bus stop. To see, obviously, their race is over. They've already reached the checkered flag, so they're just trying to get back to pit road and get these cars back to their crews and load up for next week.
Well, it's good. Cruising Classics, my friend. That's what you mentioned. Cruising your way into the classics of the next gen series, of course, at the Watkins Glen International Raceway. It's Goat Locker Racing. Oh, there's beef. I think that's already crossed the line, didn't they? I hope so. They're already crossed the line.
I think they're having some fun.
Oh, I was gonna
they're having
say
fun.
Jacob would be loving that one, but we'll be loving those results right now for you.
Yeah, we'll have to pull up Brandon Evans too. I think I don't know, maybe he decided not to burn it down as much. But Brandon Evans will be your race winner by 16 seconds over Patrick Drabeck, who will finish second. Steve Tucker will finish third. Fourth goes to Mark McCreary, Jake Ellingson fifth. Bobby Germain, George Stewart, the last drivers on the lead lap, over a minute behind your race winner. Robert Barber, though, finishes the first driver of one lap down. Colton Langford and Jason Kraft rounding out your top 10. You see Barrier, Hobbs, Marshall, Anthony Westby rebounds to 15th after multiple incidents. Dustin Hardy finishes 16th, Formosa 17th, Gardner 18th, and Tanner Bethea, the last driver to actually start the event, will finish 19th. Dougie signed up for the session, but unfortunately did not start the race. He will finish in the 20th position.
You said Dougie. I coined Dougie, and all of a sudden everybody's going to coin me on Dougie. Coining anything at the moment, coining this ad. We're back in a minute.
For Murph's Magical Creations. Home to custom laser engraving and gifts. This veteran-owned and operated company engraves for all occasions. If you want one of Murph's Magical Creations, call the number on your screen or commission through either Instagram or via email. Murph's Magical Creations, made with love for you.
Back live from Watkins Glen International Raceway, round 4 complete in the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series from Goat Locker Racing. Your race winner, second win on the season, Brandon Evans, standing by here in victory lane. Brandon, I mean, just a complete and utter dominant display here on the road course tonight, winning by over 15 seconds. You know, I saw you in practice, had seemed like a full second ahead of the field in practice, a half a second over the field in qualifying. Was it just a worry about getting through lap traffic and getting out of lap 1 alive, and then you think it was just going to be smooth sailing?
Yeah, that was the hope for sure. You want to try to keep as much clean air as possible. Road courses. Last year I spun myself out and didn't do very well. So, there's some fast guys in here. I knew that I was just going to need clean air. Most of the time with this car, that's the name of the game. It's also one of those things too, just trying to pass, you give up so much time. Having clean air, being single file if possible, and just making lap time. That was kind of my focus.
Yeah, as we see, I think our producer put up the wrong Brandon. That's Brandon Berry. Right here with the winner, Brandon Evans. But Brandon, kind of, you mentioned you had an issue last year in the road course. Did that kind of make you want to buckle down and focus on the road courses and improving it? And what do you do that allows you to approach the road courses in a way and be so successful? Do you do a lot of other road racing, or do you generally just stick with NASCAR road racing?
Yeah, so since last year and last season, given that incident, what I did is I started driving the Porsche Cup car in the road series. Every now and then run a fixed official race and just get an understanding of how to drive road courses. That car is very similar to the next gen car, but however, this car is heavier and a little harder to drive. So I feel like if I could get a good grasp of how to get into a braking zone, how to accelerate through the apex and that sort of thing, then I could start to focus on, okay, now how do I apply that, get similar brake feel, and just work on getting better in this car. So I've really tried to focus on that since the last time we were here from last season.
Well, it has clearly paid off and in a big way, obviously, tonight here at Watkins Glen, the road course in the regular season. I know you're probably wishing that there were more road courses on the schedule, but as we look forward to the rest of the schedule, we mentioned a couple times in the broadcast. I think we mentioned last week in Victory Lane, you had 8 wins last year. You're looking to repeat your championship from last year. Does this kind of get you back on track to getting towards those 8 wins you were hoping for?
Yeah, I definitely hope so. I think that Daytona, that is what it is. You never know how that's going to go. Vegas, I was disappointed in myself. I thought saving tires early on was going to pay off, and it didn't. But yeah, I feel like getting my groove back at Darlington and then kind of carrying that through a road course, which I really thought was going to be a drop race for me. So we'll just see how the rest of the season goes. We have a lot of great tracks. It's a great schedule and a lot of fast guys. So you never know. But yeah, happy to have the momentum for sure.
Well, again, congrats on your win tonight. We look forward to seeing what you do next week at Dover, the Monster Mile, the concrete heathen that is that 1 mile circuit in Delaware. But before we let you go, Brandon, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank Goat Locker Racing, NASA 360, Redbeard. I also want to thank Jam Printing and Promotions, Crusin Classics, and Veterans for Life Foundation. Also, Premier Racing Setups. Happy to work with them, and then Harpoon Designs for giving me a really cool paint scheme. So yeah.
We appreciate you taking the time with us, speaking with us here on the podium and in the winner's circle here. Brandon, wishing you the best of luck again next week at Dover. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us. As we move on towards our second place finisher, that's Patrick Drabrick and that '07 machine. Patrick, you look to have a really solid race going. You had maybe a little bit of a moment when Steve Tucker and Mark McCray both kind of caught up to you. Mark McCrary, correction, caught up to you. And then they've kind of fought it out and fell off a little bit towards the end, and you were just kind of smooth sailing the rest of the way. Did you think you had anything for Brandon, or was it kind of just cruise mode for you?
No, I mean Brandon was fast. He showed speed in practice, and if it wasn't for that mistake last year, he would have been up there and competing with Cody McElwain. I mean, he's the kid can drive drive the wheels off these cars. So really, for me, it was just to settle into place, run my laps, run my race. It was nice to get some breathing room after a little while there, and just be able to turn laps. I knew I had a top three car. Came out of turn number one in second place, and just was able to hold on to it.
Yeah, you mentioned coming out of turn number one in second place. Obviously, Steve Tucker was the other driver who qualified on the front row. You qualified in third. You get by him there on lap one. He isn't able to get by you the rest of the race. But kind of talk about how it is working through the lap traffic at a track such as Watkins Glen, when really there's only 3 conventional passing zones on this circuit, into turn one, into the bus stop, and maybe even into turn 6. But other than that, not a lot of passing opportunities here.
No, and there really isn't. And when you're catching lap traffic and you're trying to make passes, yeah, you've got to be calculated where it's at. I feel I got a little bit lucky tonight when I was catching lap traffic. I caught 2 cars going into the bus stop. Both of them let off pretty easily and allowed me to go by. So that's the one thing I truly love about Go Locker Racing and the guys that race in this series. Everybody understands what's happening in the race, and they understand, hey, here comes a leader or whatever, and they just kind of move out of your way. But yeah, I mean, the braking zones is where you're going to make passes if you need to make passes. But tonight was about not making mistakes and catching some of those lap cars in the right places. I think the only real scare I had was coming into the S's one lap. There was a car wrecked and his bumper flying across the track, and I'm like, oh boy, please just stay over there. And was able to weave through that and, like I said, cruise on home to a second place finish.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, really, I don't like crossing the rumble strips, especially coming out of turn number one. It really seems to upset the car, but sometimes you just carry that speed, or you're trying to power the car back up and you cross over those. I mean, everybody's cutting curves in the bus stop. I mean, that's what they're there for, I think. But coming out of the carousel is another one that I like to cross that set of rumple strips. It's something they do in real life as well, just to get the car pointed straight and be able to get the power down. But for the most part, I'm trying to stay in between the lines, but it doesn't happen every lap there, Dean. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Before we let you go, Patrick, anyone you'd like to thank and appreciate in this fine evening?
Well, of course. But of course, my friend. Crusin Classics out of Columbus, Ohio. They've got a performance center in the dealership. They've done so much for us here in Goat Locker Racing. It's amazing what they've been doing for us, and I can't thank them enough. Jam Printing and Promotions, which I carry on the side of my car. The Veterans for Life Foundation, and if you haven't looked them up or done any of those types of things, please do that. They are doing such awesome work for our nation's heroes and warriors out there, and I can't be more proud to have them with us. Redbeard designs all our logos, does all that cool stuff for us. So that's really awesome to have them on board as well. And everybody and anybody that is a part of what we're doing here in Goat Locker Racing, all the drivers that show up in each and every week. We've got some great partners in some of the other series as well. Premier Setups is doing a marvelous job with our setups on Thursdays. Podium Esports and the broadcast that they put on. V-Speed on Tuesdays and the broadcast. You guys do such a kick-ass job with the broadcast, not only tonight, but tomorrow night in the ARCA series. So I can't thank you guys enough either. It has been so awesome to watch Goat Locker grow and all the great partners.
We appreciate all the kind words. I know all the sponsors out there also appreciate all the kind words. Patrick, again, congratulations on the second place finish. We hope to see you maybe one position better next week at the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. As we move on to our third place finisher, that's the only Toyota in the field tonight. That's the number 24 of Steve Tucker, race winner already from Daytona. Steve, you qualified second. Patrick gets by you on the opening lap. Thought you may have had something, but Mark McCrary kind of affects that charge. You end up, though, getting back by him due to some pitch strategy. He took tires in the midway point of the race. You waited as long as possible, took fuel only. Kind of just talk us through your race and how that ended up playing out.
I mean, yeah, man, we took that first corner kind of easy. I didn't want to be that guy who kind of sent it in and wrecks the field, or maybe be the guy who gets wrecked, right, by somebody sending it in. So we took it easy. Wanted to be a little cautious there, and throughout the race last season, we tried to burn the tires off a little too soon. So I tried to be kind of conservative with tire saving. It didn't really work, obviously, but I mean, podium still is cool with me. So we'll definitely enjoy that one. But we wanted to stay out as long as possible, just to get that one lap lead. I didn't really expect Brandon and Patrick to pit as early as they did, or at least when they did. I thought somebody might do the same thing we do and pit at the last second, so that I didn't get that extra point. But we did, and feel pretty good about it. P3 is always a good day.
Hey, you mentioned another top three. We're having a great season so far. One of the drivers already locked into the playoffs, been consistently inside the top five, pretty much almost every race we've had. You see there, one of the three already locked in on the point standings as we look at 6 races remaining in the regular season already. Feels like crunch time for a lot of those guys on the bubble, but for you being able to go out there kind of racing, carefree, how does that feel, especially as you go to a track like Dover where anything can happen and one wreck can really take out a lot of cars?
Dover's tough, right? It's concrete, it's high banks, it's fast, it's adrenaline the entire time, right? So, I mean, for us, we're gonna go in there and do our thing. Right now, we're kind of in cruise control mode, right? We've got that win, we've got our eyes set on the playoffs. So at this point, these races that are coming up, we're gonna just try and do our best. If we can sneak out a few wins, we're gonna try to. But at the same time, we might just be aggressive and try some strategies that unfold in a way that might help us. So we're gonna do that, and yeah, I mean, we're just moving forward.
Yeah, you mentioned just you're on edge when you're at Dover, and then you really no reprieve the week following. You go to Atlanta Motor Speedway, really Atlanta Super Speedway, we should be calling it now with the way it races. But again, a great running here tonight at Watkins Glen. Can you just talk to us? It is a little bit different, right? We talked to the other two drivers. One mentioned track limits, the other one mentioned just trying to be smooth and consistent. What is your approach when it comes to road racing?
For me, it's consistency. You really got to be consistent in the car. You have to be smooth. It's it's tough for me because I mean, listen, I'm a dude who's got a Logitech wheel strapped to my desk and then pedals underneath, and I'm sitting in an office chair, right? So I don't have these crazy rigs like a lot of these guys have. So we're kind of just getting through it, and it's fun. So the pedal modulation isn't just like I want it to be, or things like that. So overall, I'm pretty happy about it. But yeah, it's road courses for me have always been a strength, and I think today we kind of showed that off a little bit.
Yeah, well, definitely a nice solid third place finish, holding off everyone else behind you. Mark McCrary, Jake Ellingson, other drivers inside top five. Before we let you go, Steve, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just something about Cruising Classics, Jam Printing and Promotions, Veterans for Life, right now, Roofing, Redbeard Design. You guys obviously kick ass broadcast as usual, so great job on that. But yeah, honestly, on the hood of my car, Harpoon Design, Brandon's already shouted him out, right? So it has the winning car today, and obviously me, podium. So listen, if you want the best looking car on the track or something like it, go to harpoondesign.com and check them out, and get you a paint scheme that can look as good as me.
Appreciate you taking the time with us as that rounds up our NASRA 360 post race interviews here in the Cruising Classics Next Gen series. Appreciate all the drivers coming and talking with us. Thank you to Brandon and Steve, as well as anyone else, and as well Patrick, who was our second place finisher. And thank you all who tuned in tonight here on the NASRA 360 Racing Network. As we look again at our final results, I want to take one quick look at the schedule again, Dean, before we call the show tonight. And looking ahead at the schedule, right? We have Dover, we have Atlanta, and then we have Bristol. So two very, very tight, narrow racetracks, right? Atlanta is a super speedway, but it's a small one. It's only a mile and a half. Dover, 1 mile concrete high bank fast, but the walls are very, very close to the track. There is no runoff like you have here at Watkins Glen, Dean. These drivers are going to be on edge for the next three races. As we look then further on. Oh, no, you're no, you're good, D. I appreciate it. Yeah. As we look beyond that as well, Michigan, Pocono, and Kansas round out our regular season. 6 races remaining in the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. Oh, yeah. Well, the poor Australian is slightly upset that there's no Bathurst, but no more road courses on the schedule, unfortunately. But we're going to go oval racing the rest of the way. Yeah. No, it is. The good old NASRA 360 Racing Network. We appreciate everyone for tuning in to the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. Round number 4. Again, congratulations to Brandon Evans on his win tonight. Dominating fashion. Look forward to seeing what the competition brings next week at Dover at the Monster Mile. For producer and co-host Dean Biggles, I am Tyler Dittmer. We appreciate you all for tuning in, and we wish you all a fabulous